Hey, how's it going? I am feeling pretty sick, and none of that matters because I wanted to film a video today. So I'm just going to light some candles and we'll start talking. So one of the things that I've been pondering recently is the interconnectedness of our individual lives and our reincarnations. So let's see. I wanted to do a visualization of this, and I'm sitting right now at my son's little craft table, and I'm just going to draw it out for you the way that I was visualizing this last night. And I set the intention that this is helpful for whoever it reaches, for whoever finds it helpful, and so it will be. I may not be perfectly accurate in this, but I'm done waiting for perfect accuracy and perfect clarity in order to make things. Oh, how do I break you? Okay, so you have multiple lives. You have multiple lives, multiple incarnations. And I do want my ruler. You have multiple lives, multiple incarnations. And the way that I was visualizing this yesterday is, so one of the issues that comes up is whether time is linear or not. So it might seem very obvious to you and me that time is linear in that I was a child and now I'm an adult and someday I'll die, and it goes in an order, a linear order of like years, 1988, 1989, 1990, etc., all the way, continuing like that. And that is true from our experience. That's how we experience time, but that is not necessarily the way that time actually is. And obviously, whatever I'm going to say here does not take away from the fact that it is useful to think of 1978 as being before 1990. But there is a way to look at these things that is helpful. And so that's what I wanted to cover in this video. So I was picturing, and this gets into reincarnation as well. So I was picturing last night that my current life is like a bookshelf. So I'm going to draw a bookshelf here. And it starts, this is going to be very crude, not super sophisticated, but it starts like the following. So yeah, let me just draw it in. This is my bookshelf, and I've got shelves on this bookshelf. So I'm going to draw line after line. Let's say it's like this. Apologies if I get too detailed here in the drawing. I just think this is fun. So we've got these bookshelves. This is my bottom shelf, and I'm going to go up in increments of what? Let's say half-inch increments, just because why not overkill it with detail? So half-inch increments doesn't really matter to what I'm doing, but I want to just visualize this bookshelf in detail. So you can think of the bookshelf, and obviously this is a sort of permission slip, or this is just a visualization. If something resonates with this, if some part of this resonates with you, then feel free to like that part. If you want to change some part of this understanding in your mind, that is totally your right to do, and you should do that. Anyway, here's our bookcase, bookshelf, and this is my life, and the way that I picture it is this is when I'm born. Let me see if you can make sure you can see that. It's a little small, but this is when I die. I think I don't think you need to exactly see, precisely, super closely what's going on to understand what I'm talking about. So this is when you're born and this is when you die. And the way that I've been thinking about my life is that, yeah, like for instance, I'm a child here, middle age, and old age. And so this is in our linear time how we picture it, how we experience it. But what is actually the case is that every single now moment, so right now, and right now, and right now, and right now, every single now moment, every single breath that you take is another way to signify a now moment in my mind when I'm thinking about meditating. Every single now moment is right now, and every single place is right here. And so this is useful in some senses, but not in others. So I'm just going to color here because why not? As I talk, as I think, as I color, things become clear. So every now moment is right now, and so you're saying, okay, well, that's not that useful. But it is useful if you think about it in the sense that you can access information from other periods of time. This is actually what's happening when you have a memory. You're making a connection to a previous time in your life, and you're connecting to that memory in the present moment. What you're actually doing is you're connecting to that past moment and pulling information from it. So in that sense, we're very familiar with the idea that all time is the present moment. But this isn't quite what I want to get into. So let me expand this now first. So you have a single incarnation that we're considering now. That's the life that you're living. But what you actually have in reality is many, many, many incarnations. So I'm going to draw many bookshelves because we're actually in a library. We're not in just a room with a single bookshelf. We're in a library. And the thing that connects these different bookshelves is not your individual personality. Like, my name's Patrick. I won't be Patrick in another life. I'll be a different personality. But I will indeed be connected to these other lives via my oversoul. So my oversoul is, so you can think of a soul as the thing that you are, the thing that you feel that you are. It's sort of related to your personal individual self, although I think it is not technically completely related. I'm not 100% certain on this aspect of what I'm talking about, but I'll just keep drawing these here. So you have all these bookshelves, right? And you can form connections not just to memories from your current life, but you can also form connections to, and you do form connections to, previous lives. And you do this in a way that's unconscious. You don't typically need to be aware of the fact that you are connecting to information from what people might typically, historically refer to as a previous incarnation or a future incarnation. You're actually just connecting to something that is in the present moment, but is somewhere else. It's sort of hidden from you in other ways. But we can continue like this, and I will continue like this, building this bookcase as we go through. So you're mostly unaware of this happening. These are inspirations. One of the things that artists will talk about a lot of the time is that they feel like their ideas come from somewhere else, like they're not necessarily not from them, but that they access and collaborate with other sources of knowledge or intelligence or what have you. They say that they come from somewhere. There's a lot of stories by artists who say that a song idea came to them fully formed in the state that you hear it at today, and it was just, they knew that they needed to record this song as quickly as they could before it disappeared, because they just, for some reason, got a glimpse into this idea. And so these things are slightly familiar with us, but we don't, like in that sense, I'm sure you've heard of something like this, but we don't typically understand how connected we are to all the different values and life lessons that we've learned throughout all of our other incarnations. So it is useful, as I've said before, to talk about the life that you're currently living in a linear timeline fashion. But when you're thinking about other incarnations, either typically, like I said previously, called previous incarnations or future incarnations, the timeline aspect of it doesn't help. It's less helpful here. It may be true that you could connect to something that's, let's say, so I was born in 1988. I'm going to write here 1988. And maybe I'm going through something that has relevant lessons from another incarnation that was in 1788. I'm going to write down here. I don't know actually if this is in screen. It is not in screen. So this one's 1788. Doesn't matter. This one's 1870. This one is 1910. This one, and they can also overlap. So this one's 1988. This one can be 1978. This one can be 1988 as well, let's say. So I have, in this example, I have 2 lives in 1988 that are starting. So anyway, let's say that I have information in this 1788, or I guess you can't see that. So we'll start with the 1870 life that is relevant for my current life. Then I will sort of automatically access that information here. So let's say something happened here. I understand, let's say we're talking about like childhood bullying, and I'm here as a child and I'm being bullied in this current timeline right here. I'll just draw a circle. This is where I'm being bullied, or perhaps I am a bully. I wasn't really a bully in this life, but let's just say for an example, perhaps I am a bully here. But in this life, in a different time period, let's say a little before, I was bullied. Well, what can happen is that I will automatically make a connection between these things where this information comes here in a way that's sort of non-intrusive and you're unaware of how it's happening, but you, or that it is happening, but you form this connection, and that makes me actually start to understand in my bullying that, like, this isn't so nice and I wouldn't like to feel this way. I would not like to experience this bullying. And so I can pull on this information from back then in a way that is not obtrusive, because when it's obtrusive, it sort of like gets in our way from understanding the full lesson. Like, it's just too much information and it's not typically relevant that I know where this information is coming from. Another way, like another example is that like someone might have the very clear impression in their life that if they were to get a bunch of money, that they would do specific things with it. They would donate it and they would help people, and they don't feel, let's say this is, again, me in middle age, and this is, again, not necessarily what I'm, one of the aspects of my current life, but I'm just trying to give examples. Let's say that I realize and I know deeply inherently at this section of my life, let's say on this book on the bookshelf, I know that I would do great things with money if I had it, because it just feels like something that I would want to do. I don't feel inclined to fall into the trap of needing to buy the latest and greatest products or whatever. I would be very generous with my money and donate my money if I had a bunch of extra money. And so this feeling that I've had kind of without experience, and again, this is not really me, but this feeling that the example me has had doesn't necessarily need to have come from the life experience prior. I'm just going to draw a line up. It doesn't need to have come from this life experience, because let's just say I never experienced the concept of needing to donate money and contribute in that way. But what we could see is that in the 1910, if we could actually have access to these figures and plots, we could see that in 1910, at the end of my life, I had, let's say this life, I was very successful, had a lot of money, and I did not spend it well. I wasted on things, and at the end of my life, sort of on my deathbed, I had the realization that, no, this is not how I should have lived. This information is actually bleeding through into how I think about things today. So I don't need to learn the same lesson that I already learned in this case, in this life, because I'm able to access the lessons from my previous lives. So this is like when people have a lot of incarnations, like a ridiculous amount of incarnations, and they become sort of like these like highly evolved souls, it's because they're drawing on all these different lives, all these different circumstances, all these different experiences, and they're combining it into one. They're using that information freely in their current life to excel in a way that they wouldn't have been able to otherwise. So this is what's sort of meant by like your past lives or your future lives. But let's see, make sure it's in frame. What I'm actually going to draw now is that all of these lives come from one central thing called an oversoul. And so these are, well, the arrow should probably go this way, actually. Well, they go back and forth. These are all connected to one thing up here. So they are connected in that one way. So you yourself, or me, Patrick, I won't exactly be Patrick in my next life. Though my current understanding of how this works, and it's what it sounds the way that it works, is that we do still choose to live our lives in a linear fashion. Like, I will die in this current age of Patrick, and although like all of time and all of place is one place, I will then go on to experiencing the next life, which will be, let's say I'm born in 2075. I will start from here and I'll go to here. I could do that. I could also choose to experience a life earlier. I suspect that that's something that a lot of people who are not ready to move on from this current like level of Earth, they're gonna choose to reincarnate in the past, because after this life, because the future of Earth is changing in a way that makes their lessons that they might still want to learn inaccessible. But let me just pause here too. Let me just pause here to blow my nose because I am sick. Okay, so now you can picture this as you slowly, in a linear fashion, move as you slowly progress up through your life in every day. Let's take it one day at a time or one moment at a time. You're slowly going one moment, next moment, next moment, next moment, next moment. As you do this, you are developing all these connections, or you automatically have all these connections to different places and on different timelines, different people that are all experienced by the same oversoul here, but they're not actually literally you, the you that you are living in right now. That is like a one and done life. But you're contributing all of the things about who you are to this oversoul idea, and this retains all the memories, all the experiences, all the lifetimes, everything totally will be remembered by this one thing, but it's not your like physical, it's not your physical self, your physical brain. Like when you die, you will cease to be Patrick. I will cease to be Patrick. But all of the things that I learned will be integrated, or have been integrated, into this one object called the oversoul. And each of these, I guess, is an individual soul, but kind of that doesn't make too much sense in this context, I think. You could see this as just one soul. I don't know exactly what the difference between oversoul and soul is, except that the oversoul is sort of a higher, more connected form, connected to other things. And so presumably then there's like an oversoul that is above this, that you connect to multiple other oversouls, and we're all in the end connected to one thing, because that's all that there is all that there is. And we're all one thing. We're all one entity experiencing ourselves in different ways. So yeah, this is helpful, I think, in terms of understanding when it is helpful to look at the linear case and when it's helpful to think multidimensionally. But it also, my intention to bring this up is that you will be able to more consciously connect to the useful experiences that that you need in a given moment. Like, say I'm right here and I'm struggling through something and I'm thinking like, oh, I really don't like this about myself, or I want to make this change in this way. I want to become this new thing that seems exciting to myself. Well, you can assume then that there is relevant information somewhere. You've had enough lives. There's something, this solution is, you've already come across a solution more than likely. And so if you remain open to those possibilities and consciously pull in and say, hey, I need some help with this. I want to sort of search my internal Google for how I could solve this problem in a successful way, in a sufficient way that satisfies me. Being aware that you do pull, that your thoughts are being pulled from different places in time, different, even could be your future self in your current life, could be your past self in your current life. All of these books are available to you, and to just be aware of that is to invite them to more openly and freely stream to you with ease. So I hope that this resonated with whoever it needed to resonate with, and I hope that you will bring your own visualization to this. If that's interesting to you, you feel free to change this in whatever way you want. I find that by making things my own, that they are that I understand them more deeply. So feel free to change this. And yeah, thanks and have a great day.